How's it going? This is Hoiman, and today we're taking a look at the Totaku Banjo Kazooie figure. So just to give you a quick look around the whole figure, quite a lot of detail going on. So looking at Banjo's face, I feel that they have captured the likeness of his character really well. Looks just like him from pretty much all angles. And then the paintwork is quite clean for the most part. It is a bit sloppy in some areas on where the peach meets the brown. And then his eyes are nicely painted on for the most part. But I think the main thing that detracts the face is the seam line that runs across his whole snout. And because it's on a lighter colour, it's really noticeable. So it really does detract from the figure quite a bit. The brown parts of his body is nicely sculpted. It does look like fur, so it's pretty well detailed there. But there isn't really any shading going on, so it's quite hard to see all the different strands in the fur. But they are present with the sculpt. Looking at his backpack, it's really nicely detailed. You can see some threading in the material to really make it realistic. The Rare logo is nicely painted on with metallic gold, so it really stands out. And then you have Kazooie popping out here. It looks really nice for the most part. The wings especially look really nice. Really nice blend of red into the yellow for the feathers. Looks really nice. And I will say the feathers are soft in material as well, and that's because they're quite thin. So you don't have to worry too much about those breaking. And then her face is nicely sculpted, but again, the paintwork from the yellow to the red does kind of bleed a bit, so it's not really that clean, but again, it's not really that noticeable. But her beak does have the seam line that runs across as well, so it's quite noticeable. And then you have the actual Kazooie, really nicely sculpted. Moving down to the banjo, really nicely sculpted. You can see all the strings are nicely painted on. And then you have the adjustments for the tips as well. And overall the banjo is actually quite thin, so it's somewhat flexible, so you don't have to worry too much about it breaking. And then Banjo's hands are nicely sculpted as well. But I do have a bit of seam line that kind of runs across his fingers. So again, it does detract from the figure a little bit. Down to his shorts. Mainly just painted in a bold yellow colour, so not really any shading or much detail going on. But it does look nice and bold. But I will say it's not really that clean on the paintwork. You can see how the yellow really transfers to his body, so it's not really that clean. And then there's quite a bit of odd random colors and odd paint splodges as well, so it does kind of detract from the figure a bit. And then down to his feet, again you can see how the peach doesn't really bleed that cleanly into his fur, so again they look quite sloppy, but they are nicely sculpted still. And then the base itself is just a flat grass texture, and it does have a bit of wash over it, so it makes it look quite nice. And then the bottom you have legal stuff. So overall I still think this is a really solid figure of Banjo Kazooie. Really captures the likeness of both characters, and then the pose with them both as well as the banjo really adds to the whole look of the figure as well. The paintwork is probably the weakest part because it has a lot of paint slops and kind of rough areas that really detracts the figure. And then the seam line that runs across Banjo's snout is really detriment to the figure, I feel. But despite all those flaws, I still feel that this is a really solid Banjo Kazooie figure. And if you are a fan of this character, then I can still recommend this figure. That's my review. Thank you for watching and enjoy some pictures.